Oh, I'm sorry. I was just nuzzling, just kind of getting behind Morgan, getting in his personal space.
She was smelling my hair.
Oh, that was too much
tell you
fun.
what, you got to watch it around here at Money Talk.
Just as long as you're not doing that, Morgan.
I tell you, I mean, we might have to rename the studio here. The Love Boat.
It is really interesting. I know, because everybody has their own definition of what makes them feel comfortable or uncomfortable.
Right. Personal space.
Even if I sit next to someone in a meeting, like there's one particular meeting I have to do here at work, and I always sit next to someone it's like a little love seat in somebody's office. And I sit next to him and I feel bad. I'm like, I hope he doesn't think I'm standoffish or trying to get away from him. But I literally slink over the left side of the seat so that I'm not all in his space.
Right, right.
And so I think people have different opinions about what's important to them when it comes to that.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, I sort of like my personal space. Mm-hmm. And I know
culturally it differs
culturally,
too.
right. There are some cultures where you don't get any personal space. I remember when I was over in London, Pat George, to bring back to mind a story that we've told on the air before, not at Speaker's Corner, though, but just walking around London and viewing some of the different sites. And of course, this was back in the early 90s. I can remember the Chinese tourists that were there had a very different idea of personal space than what I was used to. They would literally be like climbing on you, you know, and like leaning on you, pushing, you know, very different from what we were used to here in the U.S. And that was kind of a little bit of a cultural shock to me in a way.
I don't think they mean to do that. I think they're just so used to doing that because it's so populated.
Well, that's what I mean. And for them, they have a different idea of what you're entitled to or what you should think is your personal space, and they just have a much lower level of personal space. They're much more used to people invading your space or
close quarters.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at some of the Middle Eastern cultures that are very touchy, and you know, even men holding hands and things like that we don't do over here. But you know, as we think about this Joe Biden story, because what we're talking about here is that Joe Biden apparently, and this is coming out now that he's, I guess, potentially making a move to run for president, but he'd gone out to Nevada to support Nevada Assemblywoman Lucy Flores in her campaign to become lieutenant governor of Nevada. And this is back in 2014, so at a rally in 2014. And as she describes it, he basically got up behind her and nuzzled in the back of her head with his mouth and nose, kind of inhaled her hair, and kind of maybe worked her shoulders like a little bit of a shoulder massage.
And if you can feel someone's breath on you, if you can physically feel their breath,
right,
that's too close.
That's pretty intimate. That's pretty. And Roxanne, we were talking even earlier about the show, just about, I mean, we're pretty good friends, but I mean, it'd be pretty, I can't imagine the scenario where I'm coming up behind you, like, kind of like grabbing your shoulders and nuzzling in your head. I mean, like, that would just strike me as being inappropriate.
Well, what about you, you know, and then ending it with a kiss on the back of her head?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, we're actually good friends. I didn't just come and meet Roxanne for a political rally to help her out. I mean, we actually know each other pretty well, you know, been to each other's house and stuff. So, but, you know, Pat George, we could change this up a little bit. And I was kind of playing around with these concepts yesterday, thinking, how do we bring this home for people? We could change this up. How about me and you, Pat George? I mean, I would, you know, I love you to death, but I'd feel very uncomfortable if you walked up behind me, put your arms around me, and started nuzzling in on the back of my head.
Well, that will not be happening. But again, you know, every time we say goodbye, you say goodbye at the end of the show and walk down the hall. I mean, would you not feel awkward if she turned around and you just kissed her in the back of the head and goodbye?
Well, you know, this is not lost on anybody.
See?
I mean, the entirety of Washington, D.C. knows about this, and believe me, there are videos of this kind of behavior, because apparently even at the same rally, and you've got a picture of that, he got in on Eva Longoria. Is it Ava or Eva?
Eva.
Eva Longoria. And he was
Eva and Evan Longoria, the baseball player.
Okay.
Eva Longoria, the actress.
All right. Well, he was nuzzling in on her, too, which, I mean, you can't, you know, I mean, you could sort of understand that. She's extremely beautiful. Right. Lucy Flores is a great-looking lady. But anyway, Uncle Joe, you got to stop this stuff. You got to keep your hands to yourself at the family parties. You know what I mean? You're too old. Those days have passed. But I loved what Kellyanne Conway said about him.
If anybody just types in creepy Uncle Joe videos, you come up with a treasure trove.
So who said it best but Kellyanne Conway? You just go out there. If you want to see some of what we're talking about, Type in Creepy Uncle Joe, and you will come up with a treasure trove of videos.
How many people have done that?
Oh, I'm sure it's been thousands over the last several days. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.